Hajime! Welcome back to Comic-Jutsu. JT McRoberts here, and today we're going to walk you through another edition of Rarities, wherein we take a look at rare shit that's on my shelf. Today we're featuring The Invisibles #1 by writer Grant Morrison and artist Steve Yowell, featuring not only the first floppy issue, but the Invisibles Omnibus collection as well. As you can see here, disguised beneath, it was almost invisible. You didn't even know it was there at first. The reason the Invisibles floppy is still a collectible is because of the inclusion of the original letters column, Invisible ink. This is where Grant Morrison answered letters, but he also wrote about whatever he was doing at the time. And in particular, he wrote about the inspiration behind what he was putting into the Invisibles. So it was an interesting cross-section, to say the least. And when he would talk about his research for a particular issue, it was quite, the lists were quite daunting. It was unbelievable. Mysticism, occultism, chaos magic, voodoo, goodness knows. Not that that's all that the Invisibles was about. Here you can see some tarot reading by Ragged Robin. King Mob in his fetish jacket, first appearance of, which really kind of weirded me out at the time. I was like, man, that thing is strange looking. But then over time, I mean, to me, it just became iconic. That was King Mob. And here we see the King in Chains. Spooky stuff. This was the sort of Lovecraftian elder god type big bad evil guy of the Invisibles universe. The Archons. And this is a great sequence. You know, I'm more just sharing the collectible portion of this rather than breaking down the story or the art or technique or anything, because I do want to do an issue by issue breakdown of the Invisibles, starting at 1. Now let's take a look at the Omnibus. What if they gave a war and nobody saw? Which side are you on? That's the classic Invisibles quote. Which side are you on? And that is the question. That is the conundrum. Table of contents. Everything that isn't love. The Invisibles is a bullet made of liquid silver exploding through the skulls of 1,000 teenage idols, passing through me, passing through you, changing the both of us. Technicolor, Goliath, faster than something, faster than the speed of light. Oh, is this part of... Yeah, this must be Gerard Way's introduction. Los Angeles, 2012. The iconic grenade imagery from the cover, recreated for the Omnibus. Oh, they've got the page orientation off. I just noticed that for the first time. So that's interesting. I wonder how quickly that's going to catch up. And yeah, because you see Dane right away. But anyway, I'm not trying to break down the entire story at this point. I'm just sharing a look at the rare book. Though, I guess in a way, every omnibus is rare in its own way. I mean, they're limited printings. But this is just a gorgeous collection. The colors are vibrant. The binding holds together really well. It reads well. And it's nice seeing these classic invisible scenes on that shiny paper. It's just such a leap forward. But let's see if we can find something that will jump off the screen for you. Ooh, there's part of King Mob's vision. Now this thing is so big, I'm going to have to fiddle with it a little bit just to get it to fit on the screen here. Yeah, so King Mob has this vision. And it's part of his overarching initiation that happens throughout time, which, spoiler, is part of one of the many messages of the Invisibles. And there he is entering, he's entering the Rock in Australia. What's that thing called? They say it here on the other page, but there he's seeing the one Gina overhead. Loved how Grant would include these mythic elements from all the various societies across the world. That was one of the great things about the Invisibles. How it was cross-cultural. It was also very much a comic that predicted the world we live in today, which is both frightening and exhilarating, I suppose. That's part of that Dane reliving his alien abduction, which was part of his initiation. So, yeah, it's a fantastic, just in my opinion, it should go without saying, the greatest comic book of all time, the most important comic book of all time. I mean, it definitely influenced The Matrix, so much so that Grant temporarily sued the Wachowskis over it, though he eventually dropped the lawsuit. Just saying to himself that the comic accomplished what he wanted. He wanted it to go out into the world and take on a life of its own, and that was part of its life, was becoming the Matrix. So it's just unfortunate that he wasn't able to share in the profits. But could you imagine if the Matrix had been done as the Invisibles, with Grant endorsing the script or something to that effect? And here we see Laura Fanny's initiation. Very, very progressive story for the time, and even for today. She-Man Part 2, Day of Nine Dogs. One of my favorite stories, probably one of the better initiation stories in the series. Well, I don't want to spoil too much for everybody. There's a good image for you as I flip to a page of King Mob being shot. But the cover artwork is interspersed throughout. That's what you keep seeing pop up here in these complete colors. I think that's issue 16. There's Papa Getty makes a return there at the end of volume 1. Sorry, I'm having to move this all over the place to try to keep it on frame and also out of the glare, because it is a very big book. But again, like I said, it's nice. It feels good in your hands. It has a good weight to it. But it's not flimsy or frail or cracking apart. It's easy to flip through here. So definitely highly recommend it. Though The Invisibles is good no matter what format you have it in. I would say first, get the individual floppies over any collection. Just have a complete run of those so you have access to the Invisible Ink letters column, and you get to read all of Grant's thoughts behind it. I actually wrote a letter into the letters column. It was not published. And who knows if Grant actually read it or not, or he thought, this guy's off his nut. He's gone nutter. I think that's how they say he's crazy. Something to that effect. Namu Amida Butsu. Some fantastic imagery here. Have to be careful flipping around at the back, but we'll flip to the behind the actual story here. And you see part of the back matter here is the Invisibles series proposal, the concept. So you get a copy of that. The plots. I like the graphic design here. He's outlining the various storylines. Different versions of the cover image. King Mob, Lord Fanny, Jack Frost, Boy. Now these might actually be Grant's drawings, which are pretty good. Yeah, you can see it there. King Mob looks a lot like Grant Morrison. I mean, Grant's artwork is fairly serviceable to it. I mean, it's really improved from some of those early like Myth Adventure stuff, or whatever the name of that really obscure book was that he drew for Boy, Raggedy Ann, but it becomes Ragged Robin. The Invisibles preview. I never saw this. That's interesting. Ads. There's the cover artwork for #1. It's the artwork for issue 10, featuring Papa Gede. Issue 4, I think. The head of John the Baptist, which gets discovered during the series. Never quite comes into have a major role throughout the book, which I was surprised by. I thought it would have popped up again at some point, but unless I misread it, it wasn't a big deal. They just found it, and it has a lot of esoteric meaning behind it. But aside from that, it wasn't really incorporated into the plot. Oh, that's really neat. The evil general Brian Bolland. Wow. Yeah, now these are really nice. This stuff here in the back, this back matter is really good. Oh, these might be Grant's original. No, this looks like, yeah, Philip Bond. Okay, yeah, it's the actual artist. Philip Bond's thumbnails. Okay. I wonder if he's one of those guys that works from thumbnails, in that he makes his thumbnails really complete and then blows them up and does the work on top of those. I wonder. Oh, here we go. Frank Quietly. You've got Jack Frost and Boy scaling the building, which I believe is Mason's building, which would essentially be our Elon Musk, believe it or not. So pretty cool. Even for its time, it was ahead of its time, and today it is still showing us this is how the world ends. It's a heck of a door jam there, but you can see my copy is holding together well. I keep it on the shelf where it belongs. It looks great. Have it next to Planetary, in case you want to know. Every issue, every story, every conspiracy, every question, every answer, one book. But it does not have the letters pages. That's why you need both. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this issue or episode of Rarities. As always, find the links below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, denizens. Mate!